Hi, I'm Laura Stewart, board member of Indian River Impact 100. I'm here today with Bruce McEvoy, who's going to tell us how he's been impacted because of the VNA music therapy grant that we gave out for $100,000 at the Parkinson Center. Bruce, thank you so much for being here today.
It's a pleasure, thank you.
You know, this is a special one for me because my dad had Parkinson's.
Oh.
So,
How many years did it do that?
7 years he had it, and he didn't get it till he was much later in life, almost 80 years old. So hearing about these programs is really special for me on a very heart note. So how did you end up finding out about the music therapy program at the Parkinson's?
Well, to start with, I was diagnosed 7 years ago. It was the Mayo Clinic. I had been misdiagnosed for probably 2 years. Peripheral neuropathy, they thought it was a pressed nerve, something like that. So we really didn't get going for a while. And once I was diagnosed, I started looking around, well, who can I talk to? Who can help me understand the kind of doctors I need, any special nutrition? Is there any exercises I should do? Because I stay quite fit. And a couple of people recommended, in addition to the Parkinson's Disease Foundation, which has a hotline.
Okay.
And I would call them up and ask about doctors with motion movement disorder specialties. They'd be on the phone for an hour giving me all the doctors in the state of Florida who they thought could help. But then they mentioned the Memory and Motion Center, and I thought I'd better go stop by and just see what they have to offer. And I met their head director, Peggy Cunningham. I was there for 2 hours, and I came out a client and a volunteer. They put me in two programs right away, and then said, we'd like you to help us with our strategic planning when you have a chance, if you could join some of the meetings. And the marriage started, and now I'm chairman of the board.
You went in for help and ended up giving back. That's the best.
They put me to work. They
Okay.
put me to work. And I was participating in different programs. With Parkinson's, it affects everybody or manifests itself in different ways to almost many diseases.
Right.
Some get the tremors. It's not only movement, it's also cognitive, which they're realizing now can be a major part of the issue they have to deal with. But it's the way you walk, the freezing episode where someone just stops.
Right.
We don't know what causes it, but they can't move. Voice, as you can hear a little bit of my cracking in my voice, that's a battle. I have to train 3 or 4 times a week to maintain the voice, or else you lose it.
Right.
And you get it down to a whisper. Well, the center had programs going, stretching and qigong and just so many things that I thought I better also start participating. I think I go. I do boxing now. We have a new boxing program.
That was my dad's favorite.
It is the best. We used to get so tired going to a gym, and you've got to do something different. And boxing just is too much. The time goes. It's perfect aerobic. We do 40 minutes, and we don't stop the whole 40 minutes.
Now, how does the music therapy portion of it factor in with the Parkinson's?
That's another factor, because music, I think we're learning, and I know Maureen Burkhardt, who teaches the program, a wonderful person, that was telling us that all the regions of the brain store music. So if we can tap at the music, we can build pathways that help us get over the problems we have in walking.
Okay.
So, and walking is, everyone has a little different problem. It's with the gait. Some people, they tip forward on their toes, and then they build momentum, and this causes an enormous amount of falls,
Right.
which is the scary part of this disease when you get older and have these falls. Freezing can be very dangerous because you can do it right in the middle of an intersection, things like that. So they have to have ways to get beyond that, and that's what we learned through the music, this rhythmic auditory stimulation, which is music, really. They use a metronome, gives you the beat, boom, 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 and people marching around
To the beat. Okay.
trying to get the rhythm built into our brain, and it could be music. You do the bridge over the River Kwai and do your march, but as long as you can get something that's in your mind that can get through this freezing episode or other issues you have with walking, particularly leaning forward. We had a lot of falls when we first started the program. We had to bring in more help. We were dealing with about, back in December, maybe 8 to 10, no, it'd be 20. We had 8 to 10 on each side of the room, so
Okay.
we were full capacity. with caregivers behind and volunteers. And so we had a lot of people in the room. The first few sessions, everybody looked at each other and there wasn't much talking. I think a little bit of nervousness, what are we going to do here? And you just in your mind, you start to calculate what's wrong with some of these people. Is it their back? Is it their feet?
You're all checking each other out.
Checking
okay.
and not talking. A few friends come in there and did say a little bit. And I thought, boy, this is going to be a challenge, because we were taking a lot of time getting warmed up. And the Marines decided this is an older group. They're probably not going to really like 80s and 90s music. So let's go back to rock and roll.
Okay.
And all of our preliminary work is to rock and roll music, and everybody has to guess which artist that was, and that kind of thing. And then
so she's engaging the brain as well as helping you get the emotion.
She's starting to build the social network side of it, so that everybody then starts to understand better and cooperate and listen and go through that. Every part of the problem in Parkinson's is that our muscles atrophy. So if I'm perfectly normal, I'm 75. If I'm competing with another fellow 75 who doesn't have Parkinson's, I have to probably work a third to 40% harder just to stay up with where he is, or she is. That's the thing. So the theory is that that's part of the problem with falls. Our legs start to atrophy and they're not strong enough because we're not doing exercise at home, and then we're subject to falls.
Right.
And so every class we start with probably 15 minutes of stretching and exercise, concentrating on our feet, our ankles, and our calves, and our thighs.
And Maureen's involved with all of this?
Oh yeah, we're all doing the exercise. She's watching every one of them, and coaching them to don't push it, because everybody's at a different stage. Some are in very good shape, some are on walkers or canes. So she's getting us into that mood of exercise first, stretching before we get into any of the walking programs or that sort of thing. And it's very effective.
How has it impacted you? How has it changed things for you going through this particular rhythmic course?
Oh, I think I'm much more cognizant of the need for exercise. And in fact, the whole movement in the Parkinson community, so to speak, I'm talking about the University of Florida Center, the Mayo Clinic. 8 years ago when I'd go to their seminars, exercise was an afterthought. After you finish everything, they talk about it'd be good to do a little exercise.
Right.
Now everything begins with exercise. The research says that exercise can probably slow the progression of the disease, maybe stop it. A lot of the doctors, PhD neurologists types think, and they may be able to reverse it, but we don't have enough research.
Okay.
And what I've been trying, I talked to Marina a couple of times because I work with the University of Florida, that I would mention it every time I go up to see if there's a possibility to get some grants to do research while we're going through this program. But for me, it's put focus right on exercise, and I up the ante. I mean, I go every day now. And, but some people hate exercise, and I understand that. That's why they need a class like this where you can also have fun. Now, what's happened? I was telling you that we were sitting there the first month or two, just looking at each other and guessing what's wrong with him or her, and then we do our walkabouts. And the most incredible thing happened about 2 months into the program. One of the fellows who had frequently fell, and we had to have people with him on both sides, and everybody was watching because they were waiting. He was a big man, and then waiting for the timber to come down.
Right.
He made the whole circuit without a fall.
Wow.
The whole class stood up and clapped.
That had to be...
It changed the network was formed.
Okay.
Everybody, now, every time, every group goes around, everybody claps when they're through, and then Maureen comes in and gives a critique. It's as smooth as can be. Everybody expects it now, and we've formed a social network. She's missed only 1 or 2 classes all year. You could see the disappointment when she can't be there. They're ready for this now, and the caregivers are coming because they want to see what's going on.
But they're also seeing improvement.
Improvement.
This one gentleman, I can only imagine what he was feeling when he completed that lap without falling.
Oh, he was the biggest smile I've ever seen.
Yeah.
And what you have to look at is, don't compare that with anything but him.
Right.
Every victory counts. And for him, that was a victory. And that's why everybody knew it. And
Yeah.
they knew how hard he was just trying to, to keep walking and get through this freezing, and he was fantastic.
Yeah.
So now we go in groups of 3. We haven't got enough room. There's all kinds of people requesting.
So you're full up
We're
with
full
a
up.
waiting list like crazy.
Full up. We've been looking at doing a Saturday. We're trying to look at where we can fit another program in, because it's hugely successful. People get it.
But there's only one Maureen.
Yeah, well, she's exceptional, I must say. I've worked with a lot of, I do different boxing, I go to the different gyms, I have a number of therapists, but she really gives extraordinary encouragement to everyone and spots everything. She watches it. I mean, for me, I'm not as progressed as far along as some of them have, but she catches me all the time. I'm bending. You have to keep that erect. Watch your posture.
Yeah, that's a common thing.
She also does a program after. She gives, you can sign up for it, and you take 15 minutes after the class is through, just to go through you and how you're doing. What has she observed? She's taking notes all the time.
Wow.
It could be the pace, the speed, not coming off a turn well. I mean, we get the frustrating part. I really enjoy her. We're so lucky to have her there. She said, I asked her one time, I said, what is this all about? He said, I'm frustrated. She said, Bruce, it's like learning to walk again. You have to learn to walk again. Your arms don't swing. That's how they found out I had Parkinson. Right. But when your arms swing, your body gets into balance, and then you don't fall. But she said, and you have to engage that every time you get ready to make a major move. You're going to walk down the corridor to the men's room. You've got to think, get up, get those feet heels down first, and swing those arms, and throw the shoulders back. Well, that's the damnedest thing at my age, trying to learn how to walk again. I mean,
well, because it's not something most people consciously
right,
think
right.
about.
But all these things require good thought, because you're changing. Well, what happens is the brain doesn't give the signal to complete the activity, so you're left short, freezing. You just stop.
Which is the whole point of the music rhythmic, is to help trigger that brain.
Trigger that brain.
That's really
right.
great.
And there's been research. This is founded in research, not someone just grabbing a book off the shelf and saying, let's try this thing. Yeah, and I think what we all beginning to do now is we're buying in on it too, which helps us all. Automatically, for example, we'll be sitting in the chairs and they're going through their walk, and you can see there's a problem, and she'll tell us all to start. So we're in our chairs and we're all throwing our arms to the rhythm and trying to, or just.
So she's giving you tools to walk away with.
She's on the piano.
Okay.
She's got the metronome going, which you can buy, and suggests people, whatever music you like, if you can get a rhythm, a theme in your brain, it'll build a new pathway, and you'll go on and be. It's amazing.
Well, thank you.
I never realized how important the arms were in balancing the body for walking.
It makes sense.
Yeah.
Well, I want to thank you so much for being here with us today. Any last thought you'd like to share with our members about receiving the grant for the program?
Well, we're very appreciative, first and foremost, because we have to do this. There's no way this is going to cure itself. And I think their generous gift, hopefully we can continue. That's a problem, I should say, too, that if you cut it off, or if we can't continue, it will gradually dissipate, and people will go back to where they were. You need the rigidity of a framework,
right? And
then someone checking your progress, and that's what we all know. We can't cheat on this thing.
Well, it sounds like the Memory and Motion Center, formerly Alzheimer's and Parkinson's, might need to apply for a grant from Impact 100 coming up.
Well, I think
maybe you guys should consider it for another season.
Well, it certainly is. It helped a lot of people. Positive attitude. That's the most important thing you can have with Parkinson's, and that kind of program also does that. It builds on because everybody starts to see progress being made.
Right.
Positive attitude. You've got to be able to laugh.
Right.
If you can't laugh, you're going to go through a terrible life. And then creating a social structure.
That's perfect.
And it works so beautifully, but not easy. Not easy. Some programs that we have at the center just don't work.
Well, it sounds like this has been a huge success.
Oh, when you have them waiting to get in,
Yeah.
the word's out now,
Great.
and there's and people are only going to come when they say they see the progress that you're making. God, Johnny's walking a lot better than he used to do. Or he isn't. We have people who aren't on canes or aren't on walkers now.
That's wonderful.
Yeah, so
Thank you so much
pleasure.
for being here.
Thank
we
you,
really
Laura.
appreciate you coming and for sharing everything.
Thank you.
Thank you.